Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to take a look at what it means to restore America, both literally and figuratively, from small-town renovations to enriching our natural landscape to restoring disfigured works of art. We're seeing what it takes to spruce up the old while staying true to the original. You may be wondering what I'm doing with this and what's in the crate. Well, let me introduce you to America. Come on. Oh, wow, there we go. What do you think? Not bad for a headless woman, huh? Wynn, good to have you back.
Hey, thanks.
Well, here she is.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
You know, I found her in a sale up on the East Coast, and I've always wanted one of these allegorical figures of America. You can see we definitely have a maiden in distress here. You think you can do work with her?
She looks pretty good. You know, she's got a little age on her, and she's been outside in the weather quite a bit, you can tell.
Which gives her almost that sugar cube finish. Then, of course, this is her head. I just wanted you to see it. It looks like, well, she's longing for it to be reattached.
It looks like you use several types of glue and different adhesives to try to keep her head on her body, but...
It looks like she has a band of chewing gum around her throat. She came with the head detached, but then the arm, and we have no idea what happened there. So what do you think? You think you'll be able to come up with something there that maybe match the original?
Yes, we'll work with this. We've researched and found several different ways of
configurations of how they were done.
Right.
You know, my understanding of these allegorical figures is that there were these maidens that represented all the continents.
Right. Throughout America's history, there were so many of these figures that were very popular, and they were done in different materials, bronze, and even lead. The marble itself, of course, so beautiful. You can see with the white area that it would have originally been.
Yeah, so she would have been this color upon carving.
Right. The only problem with the marble, of course, is it's a beautiful stone, but fairly soft and really has to be maintained, so.
To withstand the sort of travails of time.
That's right,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I think the thing that really got me about this sculpture has to be the alligator below, because the other statues like Europa and then Africa, you know, may have had a different kind of animal associated with that continent and so forth, but I just think this alligator is really funny looking.
He is.
Almost a cartoon.
He is.
Very good. Well, Wendell, I really appreciate you taking her off to your studio and restoring America.
You bet. I'm honored to do this.
When we return, we'll visit the village of historic Washington State Park for some architectural inspiration. It's a pleasure to have visitors here at Moss Mountain Farm. And they ask a lot of questions, which I love. That means they're engaged and interested in what we're doing here. But one of the main questions they ask is, how old is the house? When did you restore it? Well, to me, that's the ultimate compliment. I always say, well, you haven't been watching the show very closely, have you? Because you viewers who watched it, you know that this house was built new in 2008. Since this farm goes back to around 1840, according to some of the earliest documents we have, I wanted to make sure that the house we put on this site really felt like, well, it's part of the landscape. It needed to fit in that idea of place and time. I wanted it to evoke a place that was authentic in terms of its size, its proportion, as well as the style. So I adopted the Greek Revival style of architecture, and this is meant to be a farmhouse from that period. It's characterized by being very bold and simple. To ensure the design process yielded what I wanted, which was this authentic 1840s Arkansas farmhouse, we went to properties within a 175-mile radius of this place to look at buildings. One of the most inspiring places we visited for ideas was historic Washington State Park.
The town goes back many years early, going back to around 1824 is when the town was founded. Through the years it boomed and then declined, and if one comes here for a tour, we talk about how it grew and then also how it declined through the years, and then how we preserve the town. And we try to have anywhere from 6 to 8 structures open daily. What really makes it special is that a visitor can show up, come to our visitor center, receive a map of the highlighted sites that we have open, and they can actually go out on their own to their sites as they want to. It's not, we don't hold them by the hand and pull them along, and it varies. I mean, we've got a weapons museum, a blacksmith shop, you've got antebellum homes, you've got suburban and urban farmsteads within the park, and we have wonderful herb gardens, and so there's just a wide variety of different things that one can see while they're here.
We're on the back porch of a significant structure here in the matrix of Washington because it's the Crouch architectural exhibit. It's a Greek Revival home that was actually moved here from almost a mile down the Southwest Trail, its original site, to this particular lot, where it is now utilized as a way to convey to our visitors the way that the antebellum homes were built, the materials they were built from, the different trades that were involved.
Some of the hallmarks of Greek Revival architecture include, well, a leaning toward classical details. The columns are Doric, Classic Greek, and fluted. Take the windows, for example. Another element of Greek Revival architecture were large overscaled windows. The idea of flooding the house with light was very important. So you see these larger panes of glass separated by these very thin muntins. And then here at the base you have a stone sill, and then at the top a stone lintel.
It harkens back to the early Greek temple, like the Parthenon, for instance. And a lot of these homes, even though they're built of wood, they have that kind of the off-white or gray wood with the squared columns, and the cornicing has also got the squared look, and it puts people in mind of an early Greek temple, hence the term Greek Revival. It's a way to connect with culture, because a lot of the elements of what we have with modern homes today were born out of earlier architecture. And so when you see how the people lived and what they did to make it their home, then it conveys an intangible. It's about the people a lot more than it is the actual house once you get down to it.
What I wanted to do here was achieve a house that had the charm and style of a traditional home, but also had the energy efficiency, green qualities, and comfort of a modern home. And all along show ways in which you could apply these same principles at home. Up next, we'll learn about the restoration process of America.
Art conservation is the act of a person trying to keep an object alive as long as possible. Whenever you're doing conserving a piece of artwork, it's like making a piece of artwork, but you get to work with another artist's work. She's turning out beautifully. The first step in conserving any piece of artwork is to clean it. Part of that is tricky because you want to keep a historic surface. You don't want to go clean it so much that it looks like it's new. We take a museum surfactant or detergent and lightly wet the piece of marble. Let it sit for a good amount of time. We start the action and you can see that it's working pretty quickly. I would let this dwell or work for probably 5 to 10 minutes. Come back, give it another nice little spray, and do the same thing over again. We'll rinse and repeat. The type of marble we found to be an Italian marble, Carrara, and you can tell that by the structure of the crystals in the marble itself, the fineness of that, the whiteness of the marble. When Alan called about the Restoring America's project, it was really exciting to me. I've never gotten to replicate another artist's marble arm before. I've done noses and chins and different things like that, but the but the arm itself is quite a challenge, and it's a lot of fun. We had to model the piece first before we start carving it from stone. You don't want to make the mistake in stone that you may have made in a modeling process. This particular model has been made from wax, and wax is good to work with because you can sculpt it and model it and change it. It's very malleable. I think we like the angle of the arm in this way, and we may want to adjust the wrist and the hand a bit. The great thing about a wax model is that it can be moved and shaped around in different ways until you get it just exactly the way that you want it in order to translate it into marble. I've worked with Alan on other projects, but this one is a major project, and I thought this is going to be something really special, and it is turning out to be. I can't wait for him to see what we have come up with.
A festival in Northwest Arkansas that goes back to its roots to celebrate the food and music that makes their region unique. The population of Northwest Arkansas has grown tremendously over the past couple of decades, and in order to preserve part of the culture, the Fayetteville Roots Festival, which is all about staying in touch with your roots, has grown out of this population explosion, and it's all about the food and the music and culture of the region.
We're at Fayetteville Roots Festival, eating and drinking and listening to music.
Roots Festival is music and food, two of my most favorite, cherished things in the world.
It started 8 years ago at the Greenhouse Grill. It's supposed to be a one-night show, and here we are with over 110 individual programs this year.
It's amazing. We're cooking a lot of food. We got some amazing chefs from across the country, across the world. You know, throwing down some good food, there's some good vibes, good music, good people. I mean, it's like a party.
I'm here for the food and the drinks tonight.
Food. The music, for sure. The food.
The food.
Food.
Hands down. That's our favorite part.
Music's great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great people here.
This festival in particular, I find it's really interesting how it's almost 50% food, 50% music.
Yeah, it is.
You don't see that.
Right.
You know, you're either a music festival
or you're a food
festival.
Okay.
This year was the first time that we've been able to balance that food and music component on an equal playing field with these guest chefs and the headlining musicians. So we had 5 chefs from around the country. They're all James Beard winners, Michelin star havers, cookbook authors. So to bring in this all-star collective and team of chefs from around the country to really showcase themselves and be like the headliners.
Today's rock stars truly are chefs, and so to put them all in the same space,
Yeah,
it's just
that's
so
fun.
cool.
I love that.
It's inspiring.
This is our first time in Northwest Arkansas, and truth be told, we are kind of blown away by this place. So the art, the food, the people.
And then local chefs, we had over 30. And they're coming from local restaurants, bakeries, big and small restaurants from Little Rock to Northwest Arkansas. And they've all come together to collaborate on different dishes, collaborate on lecture series, help the guest chefs out.
We've got several different events we're doing. We're doing a luncheon with P. Allen Smith, of course. We've got a tasting event for VIPs tomorrow evening, and I've got several other events through the festival in Fayetteville. I'm really excited.
All right, we have kimchi, collard greens, crispy pork jowl, and we have a sheep's milk yogurt dressing to go on there.
Cuban-style polenta, it's very creamy.
There is a mixed pepper chutney. It's a little bit of spicy, a little bit of sweet.
We have guests coming in from over 28 states and 4 countries this year, which is great because the frequency is out there. The ripples in the pond are like reaching coast to coast, north to south, because they're coming for that same experience. They found this little boutique urban festival. So when they come, I want them to have a full sensory explosion of great food and drink, crafted cocktails, sit down here in the main room and listen to incredible music. Every sense is touched, and they just walk away just feeling like they're a part of something very special.
It's very Fayetteville. It's a very Fayetteville thing. Music, the food.
Our local scene here highly embraces the event because I think that it embodies our community and Fayetteville as a whole as this little mountain town in its natural state.
It feels like family and just feels like home.
Just off the wall.
America is finally restored and on her way home. Up next. Wendell, I cannot believe how beautiful she is.
Well, thank you.
My goodness.
She's recapitated now.
She's just spectacular.
Thank you.
You've evened out the color of her. You've restored her arm.
That's right, that's right. It was a trick to get a block of marble that matched this original Carrara marble, and then had a nice little challenge in putting it back together and unifying the surface.
You've done such a beautiful job restoring America. I've decided that I don't really want to put her out into the elements. I think I'd like to have her in the house.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
You think so?
I think another 100 or so years inside would do her some
Do
good.
some good.
That's for sure.
You want to come in and see where I have in mind?
Sure,
Yeah.
you bet. Sounds great.
Wow, Wendell, she looks great here in the house.
Oh, thank you, she does.
One big difference in her appearance is that her color is evened out. Is there any paint on her at all?
No, we used no paint. We were able to use the marble dust or the marble flour that came from the making of the arm and incorporate that into the surface with a material, potassium silicate, which binds this marble dust to the original surface.
Really?
And so in that way, we were able to unify the surface using the original material.
You know, I've always wanted one of these allegorical representations of North America because the Trail of Tears really followed the river just outside the farm. And so she's going to be right at home. Thank you so much.
You bet, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Want to learn more? Visit pallensmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and our online store. The preservation or restoration of our culture is really important, whether it be a piece of art, a landscape, music. All of these are important elements of our culture that should be preserved and restored for future generations. As you can see here months later, America still looks fantastic. The craftsmanship in her restoration is remarkable. She'll be here for years to come, ready to greet guests as they come in, and I invite you to stop in sometime and see us. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith.